Solemn reminders of the violence that nearly upended U.S. democracy hang over Capitol Hill. A quiet day, save for the heavy police presence and the few Americans wanting to mark this moment in person.
I'm still shaken. I'm standing here right now, and the emotions start to well back up.
The president walked through the same hallways invaded by rioters to give the nation an update on the state of democracy, acknowledging the scars run deep, admitting the danger is not over.
We must decide, what kind of nation are we going to be? Are we going to be a nation that accepts political violence as a norm?
In a speech that rallied his base and inflamed his opponents, Joe Biden forcefully attacked former President Donald Trump, laying out the facts proving the 2020 election was not stolen. That this reminder is even necessary is revealing. Democracy remains fractured, all, as Biden says, because of Trump.
His bruised ego matters more to him than our democracy or our Constitution. He can't accept he lost.
Democrats and some Republicans fear violence will be repeated after future elections, since millions of Americans swayed by Trump's so-called big lie now believe voting systems are corrupt.
Unfortunately, too many in my own party are embracing that former president, are looking the other way, are minimizing the danger. That's how democracies die.
But as long as Trump remains popular with the Republican base, expect sitting lawmakers to continue embracing that narrative.
We were trying to fortify our country against fraud that we're still very concerned about.
These Republicans say Biden is dividing the nation.
Congresswoman, do you take any personal responsibility to help spread the
There is a press conference at 2:15. There is a press conference.
Seemingly unconcerned, they are relying on a false claim to make their point.
There is a press conference.
In America right now, there's no agreed set of facts around the election or the Capitol riot. Whether Trump runs again or not, that may be his lasting impact on democracy. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
U.S. lawmakers also paid tribute to the many police officers who risked their lives that day, some still feeling the impact.
There really hasn't been an end to January 6th. So once accountability has been had, then you can start to heal, and then you can start to look forward.
A year out, and I'm just angry. I went through the whole Rolodex of emotions. Now I'm just angry. And I would ask anybody who doubts the reality of January 6th to question your own motivations behind that.
Those sentiments also on the minds of lawmakers at a candlelight vigil on the Capitol steps tonight, which included a moment of silence for victims of the attack. Let's bring in CBC News senior correspondent Susan Ormiston. And Susan, until now the president has been reluctant to speak too directly about his predecessor, but that sure changed today.
It did. I mean, Biden's speech was the most aggressive denunciation of the former president I've heard since the election campaign. It was almost as if he'd stored it up over the year and decided this was the time to lay it out. His remarks were pointed, they were personal, saying that the former president's bruised ego was more important than the U.S. Constitution, and that Trump simply could not accept that he lost.
He's not just a former president, he's a defeated former president. Defeated by a margin of over 7 million of your votes in a full and free and fair election.
Biden's made a deliberate calculation here to remind Americans that the threat is still out there, that the lies, he says, have not abated. It wasn't a unifying speech, more like a warning, and really unlikely to persuade many of the thousands who were out here a year ago tonight.
It is a divided country, Susan, and we continue to see those divisions today.
Yeah, Republican lawmakers largely stayed away today, a protest really. You had Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis saying that January 6th was like Christmas for the Democrats and the fawning media. You know, so much has changed in the year. I mean, I remember vividly a year ago tonight in that building, Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham, a fan of Trump's, getting up and saying, "I'm done with him." Well, he isn't, and neither is the party. Trump is down in Florida, single-handedly choosing and funding potential candidates loyal to him to run in statewide elections and the critical midterms coming up later this year, Ian.
Thanks, Susan.